take a perspective for a moment, we have pandemics, we work on climate change, we would like to stop climate change and to avoid extinction. What would you, as a personal coach, what would be your advice for people, how to take care of themselves during these unprecedented times?
The first thing I always look at is to be really selfish. But to be really selfish in the sense that if you take care of the source, right? So it is you who's experiencing everything, right? So it's all your sensories that allows you to experience life. And if you want to do that in optimum state, then you need to take care of the source. So what is it that you need to be happy and healthy, right? So look at your diet, look at your movement, but also really look at what fulfills you, what makes you happy, right? One thing then you look at is what are the key ingredients for me to have a good, healthy and happy day, right? I can speak for myself, for instance. I like some quiet time, just some quiet time for myself, sit, meditate, and just go back to that Zen kind of state, that blissful state. And then I need water. First thing when I wake up, I just need water. I just need to hydrate the liquid, hydrate myself. And I like to bounce. So I wake up in the morning and I bounce for about 2 minutes, which helps the lymph in my system to get the detoxification going. So, and in that sense, be selfish. Like, okay, so I've taken care of the source, and then, as you might know, like I'm all about purpose, right? So, in order for me to be happy and for the ecosystem of all of us to work, it's about serving that higher purpose that you have. Whatever service it is that you are doing for others, that service can only exist if you've taken care of you. Right? Because if you broke, tired, and ill, you can't take care of anybody else, and you can't serve anybody else. So in that sense, I say, like, be as selfish as you can so that you are in the best shape and in the best state, so that you are as resourceful as possible, so that when you go out and help, that you can actually help because you have an abundance of health, mind space, etc. to give away. It just feels good if you can help other people. We're all part of this, right? So me doing something against somebody else is me doing something against myself because I'm part of this system. My dear brother, many years ago, he caught a virus, and his blood cells started to fight each other. And it was a life-threatening situation, right? They needed to use steroids, etc., to keep his blood count up. He was in a situation where, as soon as if they would take his drips out, the needle, his body would just be spraying blood, and there was no way of stopping it. And it just shows you that as soon as those cells start to fight themselves, it breaks down the system so rapidly that it will kill you. And it's the same on our planet. It's like, if we, rather than work together, work against each other, we're killing the system. So yeah, so be selfish. That's my answer. Love to talk about purpose, and when you say, like, oh, what will your next purpose be? There's only one purpose, right? It just has a lot of different ways to be fulfilled. And the ultimate purpose is to create a world, or to contribute, and not to create, because the world is there and there's nothing for me to create, right? So, but to have a positive contribution to humanity, and humanity, and I would say humanity and sustainability of humanity, in which the sustainability is something that I had never thought about, that I'm only thinking about the last few years. Right? Before that, I was just concerned about human beings being absolutely shitty. There's all this knowledge and understanding from lots of my mentors that I want to share, right? And I've got a few thoughts of my own where I'm just so surprised that um, we as human beings are not educated into that we're all part of one system, and that we're not educated in Dr. Viktor Frankl's teaching of your purpose in life is to serve. That's like the basic, like, yeah, primary, elementary. That's what we need to feed our children. And at the moment, first we need to feed all the adults. We need to do some damage control there. There's a lot of old conventional thinking that that needs redoing, right? We are human beings. We're constantly learning and developing, and we forget to delete the old stuff. 2020 language, right? So you've got a computer, you've got a phone, and there's old apps on there that you don't use. Get rid of them. There's old systems and infrastructures on there that have been innovated. So get rid of the old one. It's like we don't go around and ask people to send us faxes anymore, but yet we do still operate with a lot of things like that. Laws that are redundant, ways of thinking that are redundant, beliefs that are redundant, the way organizations run that's redundant. So what Flip the Script really is really looking at what is the current script, how are things done at the moment, what are the current beliefs, right? Kind of you're a scientist, and you know that there were beliefs about certain things that after studying and research that we've learned, like, oh, actually this is what we believed back then, but now we have data that shows us that that's not the case. It is actually like this. And then we go with the new information. So what Flip the Script really does is looking at what's the old information, what's the old script, what's the old fixed way of thinking, fixed way of doing the old system, and then question that, right? So if you would break it down in 3 steps, so one is first identifying an old believed script, etc. And then the second step is, okay, start to question it. Is that really true? Is it viable, right? And as soon as you can question it, that means that there is it's like gravity. We can question it until we're blue in the face, but there's so much hard evidence that is being repeated to us over and over and over in day-to-day situation. But the moment that my pen starts floating through the air without any use of force, I have a reason to start questioning gravity, right? Even if it's through evidence or just conceptually are able to question something, then it's like, okay, now I can come up with a new hypothesis, right? Or a new idea, right? So, and then you get to phase 3 of Flip the Script, which is, okay, so I'm questioning this. Is this the smartest, the fastest, the best way of doing things? And then, there is some wiggle room there. Let me see if there's a better, faster, more sustainable way of doing things. What else can I create and put in place? And see what I can move and reinvent, and then just go and try it out, right? And that's something that I keep telling my daughter, and I hope that everybody tells their kids. It's like the world that we live in terms of outside of nature, everything we see around us, we're just ideas of other human beings who are no smarter or better than you are. So you can question everything and you can create everything, right? And that's what the space of Flip the Script is. It's like we're a bunch of creative people who can come up with stuff. We support each other in executing those ideas and coming up with ways to make things happen and improve on things and make them sustainable. what triggered me during the COVID pandemic is that I saw people wishing and hoping for things to go back to the way they were.
Mm.
And this is where I got really scared, because you're like, things weren't good. Question all that stuff, because if you're locked inside, use the time to question all the things that you have been doing and were they really so good, right? The fact that I'm in my 40s and that only the last few years that sustainability has been a conversation for me. When I was a young boy, a teenager in my early 20s, I wasn't busy with sustainability at all. At all. That's part of the problem.
and it is, and has to do something with the purpose you were talking about, of the missing out purpose as a species. That is to serve and to be a steward. No, steward.
Yeah. Yes, rather than just consume and litter
and destroy, right? and even without understanding first.
So Kata, I'm looking at the clock and I have somebody who's waiting for me, so I have to jump off the call.
Okay, thank you
guys, but I have to jump.
Wow, thank you. That was amazing.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.